Hi, good evening, and thanks for clicking on to the Monday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. A tweet by Tayside and Fife Weather, interesting, showing the 500 millibar geopotential height anomalies for the summer so far. So basically from the 1st of June right through to the 29th of July. And you can see here it has been a high pressure dominated weather pattern. Notice the strong trough on the east coast of Greenland, which is quite interesting. Of course, seen the surface mass budget, the snow mass budget, I think it's called, continuing to rise over the Greenland ice cap. So we'll continue to see actually the snowpack growing on Greenland, while we're seeing many parts of Europe with a continuation of a very warm summer overall. But I have, of course, released my August ideas, maybe a little bit wishy-washy in terms of my thinking, but I'll go through that in just a wee second with regards to my, a little bit of a recap actually of the summer so far. Chilly morning once again across the north of Scotland, down to 1.4 Celsius to open the month of August in Altnahara, 1.5 in Tullochbridge or Furset, 1.5 also at Loch Glascarnock, 3.1 at Aviemore. But like was seen yesterday morning, still warm air residing across the far south of England. We had temperatures 17, even 18 Celsius in and around the Greater London area, but even across parts of northern England, North Wales, parts of Shropshire, for example, Cheshire, we've seen temperatures into the middle single figures. And of course, when we seen the sun rise, we've seen the temperatures come up quite steeply indeed. And another day where we're seeing a reasonable contrast in temperature. These are the temperatures as of 7 minutes past 5 p.m. Today. 15 in Stornoway, 16 Loch Glascarnock, 19 at Tain, and then of course get yourself down into the Midlands and the south of England. Temperatures into the mid to high 20s once again. And like I said in yesterday's video, we're going to see this mild air getting drafted in on the southern flank of an area of low pressure to the north, and some plenty of warm air within the 850 depth of the atmosphere, really from 850 down to the surface. So with plenty of warmth, any sunshine, we see the temperatures responding very nicely indeed. I'm currently parked up in Wakefield, and I think the temperature is in and around the 21 to 23 Celsius range at the moment, feeling quite sticky actually as of recording. Precipitation wise, of course, for the month of July, above normal across the north of Scotland, as you can see here, but get yourself down into the south, and we've seen anywhere from 23% to 0% normal rainfall for the month of July. And over the next 10 days, there is very little in the way of rainfall across the southern half of the British Isles here, according to the GFS. Notice here we get up into the North Wales mountains, Cumbrian Fells, southwest Scotland, and then of course up the West Highlands. We've got reasonable rainfall indeed. So, away from the southern half of the British Isles, faring not too badly, a little bit drier than normal in places, but it is certainly not on par with the tinderbox conditions across the southeast. And of course, dry breeds heat, heat breeds dry. You've got that back and forth feedback between ocean and land, so therefore temperatures quite easily rises into the 20s and even the 30s. Now, the Met Office have now declared are confirmed, should I say, the records. So 40.3 Celsius at Coningsby in Lincolnshire, 37.1 in Wales at Harden, and then of course the 34.8 Celsius at Charterhall in the Scottish borders. Now that 35.1 Celsius recorded at Floors Castle has been disregarded by the Met Office, I think. So The record stands at 34.8 Celsius. And it looks as if we are going to continue to see this warmer than normal theme, especially where it's driest. Any low pressure is going to be starting to kind of pull away from the northern half of the British Isles, and high pressure is going to dominate the pattern, folks, through the first half, I think, of August here. So this is the period 31st to the 5th of August, below normal temperatures across Scotland, or the northern and western half of Scotland at least, but drier and warmer than normal conditions further south. And of course, Spain, Portugal, we're going to be seeing temperatures every day this week, top 40 Celsius here, even into the south of France. I think 40 Celsius is achievable, mid 30s at least across the Paris area, but widespread warmer than normal upcoming 5-day period here, where it is very, very dry indeed. The 6 to 10 day, you can see here that we've got an interesting slight pullback actually of the temperatures. That is quite interesting to see here. We've got the trough kind of moving in towards Scandinavia here. We've got warmer than normal extending up into further into Scotland, if you notice here, but the reddish colours have kind of faded somewhat, so it's a little bit less warm compared to what we're going to see the front running 5 days. Why would that be the case? It's actually all about the positioning of high pressure. And if you look at the 5-day increments here for the period 6 through 10, notice here the core of the high pressure, according to the GFS ensemble, is to the west of the UK. So therefore we're starting to pull in our air in from the northwest, winds coming around the top of that area of high pressure. Kind of limits the temperature somewhat, but get underneath that ridge of high pressure, little in the way of wind, plenty of sunshine, and you see the temperatures responding very, very nicely indeed. But of course, with the high centered slightly to the west, you're pulling the air in from the northwest. Still warmer and drier than and sunnier than normal, but you're kind of slightly capping the level of warming potential in the atmosphere here. But the theme really, folks, is the dryness, and this is the period here, 6 through 12, and we've got firmly below normal rainfall across the British Isles. Now, one thing I want to point out here is, and I know there's going to be concern from a farming point of view, but quite often these kind of prolonged spells of dryness can all of a sudden kind of snap. And as we press towards the autumn season and the pattern starts to kind of adjust somewhat, yeah, there's going to be plenty more warmth, there's going to be plenty of dryness, there is going to be increased concern about a lack of rainfall through the month of August, I think. And August looks as if it's going to pan out different to what I had in the summer forecast. I think August is going to be the bust in terms of the overall summer forecast. I think it's been pretty decent June and July, but I think it's going to start to kind of collapse in the month of August because it looks as if the pattern remains very dry indeed. But as we go into the month of September, it's getting quite interesting. Now, the CFSV2 monthlies has this for the month of September here. Now, bearing in mind, folks, that while we've got a lot of warmth stacked up across the northern basins here of the oceans, you notice here within the Arctic, the North Pacific, the North Atlantic, with these intense hotspots, so to speak, surrounding Japan, the Koreas, the North Pacific, off eastern Canada. You've got even a hotspot across parts of the western and central Mediterranean basin. That all leads to, the focus of higher than normal pressure. But you get a change in the atmosphere, a seasonal adjustment between summer into the autumn and then eventually towards the winter season. And that warm water that led to higher than normal pressure during this time of the year can kind of almost like flicking a switch, flip around. Now, one thing I want to point out is you notice the warming that we're starting to see taking place off the north coast of South America. I think, folks, that is possibly the hints of a developing El Nino, and with a lot of warmth stacked up over the North Atlantic, with a developing El Nino, watch this space for a turnaround taking place. 1976, the driest front-running six months of the year in 2022, has been the driest for England since the summer of 1976. But you see these flip arounds taking place. We had it back during the last solar minimum, the last multi-year La Nina of 2010, 11, and then we've seen the turnaround in 2012 with the development of El Nino. That is a possibility, I think, as we go through the next 12 months at least. But it's interesting to see this wetter than normal theme starting to show up with the models, and that is something I'm going to really kind of pay attention to over the next several weeks here. And of course, I'm starting to think about the autumn season and also building the ideas for the summer forecast. Sorry, wow, the winter forecast. So, all these things are getting looked at here. The Indian Ocean is going into a strongly negative Indian Ocean dipole. We've still got La Nina at the moment. We're coming off the solar minimum, of course. We're kind of in that kind of in between solar minimum and solar maximum. That can be an interesting period of time in terms of winter type weather, negative NAO, negative AO. All these things are getting looked at here, and I think it could be an interesting turnaround here coming up towards the month of September, into October and November. We've been so warm. The build-up of warmth has been incredible over the last several weeks here. No getting away from that. But watch how the atmosphere in the past has flipped around, and that's something that I'm really paying attention to. We'll have a global weather report in the next couple of days as well, because it's actually been wetter in parts of the Middle East during the month of July than it has been in many parts of the UK, which is quite interesting. So we'll have a look at that in the next global weather report, which will probably come out tomorrow. So drier and warmer than normal looks to be the case for the month of August, I think. But have a look at the August outlook. It's available on marvelwinweather.com, and drop a comment below and let me know what you think of that. But thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. As always, please like, please share, and if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button. I do appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.